Good afternoon, everybody. It is a snowy, cold January afternoon here in Arkansas. Rare for us that we get snow, but I'm sure anyone who may watch this right after I post it will remember that the United States has been hammered with snow this weekend. It's January 24th, 2026. If you're watching this many years in the future, well, there was a big snowstorm. This is Lone Corvette, which is another Mike Lambo game. Sort of the reverse counter or the reverse viewpoint to Lone U-Boat. Here you're playing the Flower class Corvette, defending merchant ships from the U-boats. This is mission 2. Where you start with 2 U-boats at detection level 0, which essentially means you know they're out there somewhere, but you're not really sure at all. Then they can go up from there to detection level 1, where there is 1 already on the board at the start of this mission, and then they can go up to 2 or 3. 3 is the highest detection level. Again, similar to Lone U-Boat. In this game, the higher the detection level, the easier they are to hit with depth charges. So that's a good thing. You want to know more about where they are. And there's a possibility when they're detection level 3 that they could be damaged and surface, in which case you know exactly where they are and you can ram them or fire your 4-inch gun at them. I'm going to roll into this pretty quick. It's very similar, and a lot of the things I said about Lone U-Boat being very straightforward, not overly complicated, kind of the sweet spot for me, in that you can play through a mission in about 30 minutes or sometimes even faster if you're unlucky or you're lucky. But in the same way that game works, this game also does, in that it has phases. So you roll through each phase, and then when you're down to the end of those phases, you just go back to the top and repeat again. This is the setup. Really not hard. Just like Lone U-Boat that I talked about in my other video, the counters come as part of the PDF, which I like to do the PDF and print it out myself. Then you make your own counters. The game is also available from Amazon or a printed form, or lulu.com in spiral bound printed form, and then the PDF that I mentioned is available in Wargame Vault, and that's what I like to do. If you purchase one of the printed versions, you can download the sheet, just the counters on it, from Board Game Geek. Mike Lambo's really good about that, and is usually involved in the forums and will answer questions and things like that. It's really nice. Okay, let's get started. And I don't get anything from Mike for selling his games. I'm just telling you what I think. Okay. So the first phase is to roll 4d6, which is called the detection phase. You get 4 dice if your sonar operator is still alive, which mine is, being first turn of the game. Here I'm trying to find out where these U-boats are. This one is really out of range, so I'm not going to improve upon it. What I'm looking for here are to find out where these detection level 0 U-boats are. I want to take them from this sort of unknown area, improve them to DL1, and put them on the map so I can deal with them a little better. To do that, the results that you roll in the detection phase really only matter if they're 4s, 5s, or 6s. But for detection level 0s, 6s are the ones that count. 4s affect detection level 2, 5s affect detection level 1. So I'm really looking for 6s here, and I didn't get any. Okay, so no improvement there. Next, we go to the merchant's phase. So the merchant, if it's undamaged, will always move 1 hex along the dotted line, and where the dotted line turns, the merchant turns. That's important for the aspect that it could be presenting to some U-boat or another for firing torpedoes. Obviously, ships are easier to hit when you're hitting them from the broadside than if you're firing bow on or stern on. Next is the Corvette phase. So I get to roll 3 dice. I'm going to warm these yellow dice up. I have them kind of, the colors don't mean anything. It just makes it easier for me to, in some cases when I try to do multiple rolls at once, I can sort of separate results. Maybe you'll see that later. But for this, I just roll 3d6 and I only would get 2 dice if the engine was damaged, but it's not, so I get all 3. My captain's still alive, so I'm going to add 1 to the highest result here, and that'll be the number of movement points that my Corvette has for this turn. So I rolled a 5, add 1, because the captain's still alive, that becomes a 6. I use a D10 just so I don't get confused between that die and any others. D10's not used in the game per se, so I use it for the movement point tracker. So one of the things that can happen is you can redo the detection phase as part of your Corvette actions. The difference is that instead of detecting any number of U-boats, when you activate the detection phase, not as part of the first phase of the game, but as part of the Corvette phase, you have to spend action points to do it, and you have to say what you're trying to find. Again, this is out of range, this DL1 down here, so I would try to find one of the DL0 U-boats. It costs 2 to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I really need to know where those guys are. I'm probably not going to do this because it is kind of costly multiple times, but I'll do it at least this first turn. So I've spent my 2 action points. Again, I roll 4d6 because my sonar operator is still alive, but I'm now the only possibility I have is to roll at least 1 6, and then I would put 1 detection level 0 U-boat on. I'm not trying to detect multiples, I'm focusing only on 1. And in this case, it's this enigmatic detection level 0. If I fail, I haven't improved at all. And I didn't get any 6s. So again, 5s count against other detection levels, but 6s are the only things that work on detection level 0s. So I kind of blew 2 points there. Excuse me. Now I'm just going to go ahead and try to move down, get closer to at least this U-boat that I know where it is. I want to stay off of the line of hexes though, because that's the way they fire. Really got to kind of stay out of their way until you can get in there and get them. So I'm going to do 1, 2. Every movement point costs 1. I can also turn as part of my movement. So I'm going to go 3, which would take me down to 1 point left. But I don't want to move a 4th one because then I'll be on the line and I'll be out of points. So it doesn't do me any good really. So I'm going to have to just forfeit that last point. Now that that's done, we go on to the U-boat phase. In the U-boat phase, you start with detection level 3 U-boats, if any exist on the map, and then you work your way through all of those, and then down to the detection level 2s and all of those, and then the 1s, and then the 0s. Don't have any 2s or 3s, so the 1s, this 1 is the first thing I'll do. And for a detection level 1 U-boat undamaged, you roll 3d6 and refer to the chart that's just off camera. Like most Lambo games, you sort of arrange them in numerical order from lowest to highest and work your way through those results in that order. A 1 for a detection level 1 U-boat is to select the nearest ship that is on the same line of hexes. There are none. So if no such ship can be selected, which it cannot, then you move. And which direction does the U-boat move? You roll and consult this chart here to determine the direction. It's a 6, so he's going to move up here. That's that result. The 4s are, if the U-boat is damaged, then it would surface. It's not damaged, so neither of these apply. And he's out of dice. So that's all there is for that. That's kind of a lucky roll for me, but that works. Next we have the 2. There are 2 detection level 0 U-boats. So for each of those, I would roll a d6. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll 2d6, sort of 1 for each of the 2 U-boats. I'm just going to roll them both at the same time and then figure them out. The only results that really count here are 5s or 6s. If it's a 5, then one of these U-boats, we don't know where it is, has gotten into position at least to fire and hit the Corvette. If it's a 6, they've moved into position and hit the merchant. So we don't want 5s or 6s here. And of course we get 1 of each. Okay, so for the 5 and the 6, the 5 again is hit the Corvette. Then you roll another d6 to determine how many hits, because the presumption is they would have fired a salvo of torpedoes. A 5 or a 6 would be 2 hits. Anything else is 1 hit. 1 hit. So 1 hit on the Corvette. I also need to find out where the U-boat is. So I'm going to do that first. When they fire at you and hit you, then they move up in detection level. In this case, they become a detection level 1, and they move on to they come onto the map. In order to determine that, you roll a die and figure out where they are and put them 5 hexes from whichever boat they hit. In this case, the Corvette. So 5 is this direction, but I can't make it all the way to 5 hexes. So you just keep getting closer until you hit water. So that was pretty close. Could work out for me, maybe. Now I need to resolve the hit. What did it do to my Corvette? That's why I put that marker there. So for that, I roll 2d6 and consult a chart. And it's an 11, which says that the 4-inch gun is damaged. Now that's okay, because that could be repaired. Okay, now we repeat this process for the other DL0 U-boat. Oops, I'm sorry, I meant to reduce that because I put him on the map. And this one instead hit the merchant. Again, how badly? Was it 1 hit or 2 hits? It was less than 4 or less, not a 5 or a 6, so it's 1 hit. So 1 hit on the merchant. Coming from what U-boat where? 4, 5 away. However, it can't be over here and fire because this island would be in the way. So it pops up right next to the, I mean, this is as far away as I can get in direction 4. And then now I have to resolve the hit. So again, I roll 2d6 on merchant ships, though it's just 6 or higher inflicts 1. The merchant ships, as you can see, the pips there on the counter have 3 hit points, if you will. If it's less than a 6 that I roll on this d6, then it essentially is a minor hit and doesn't hurt them bad enough. That's great. Well, unfortunately, it is a 6 though, so 1 damage. In this case, you don't figure out like what, you just change the counter. And I have another counter here that has the merchant with 2 hit points. If the merchant ship is sunk, obviously you lose. If the Corvette's sunk, you lose. I resolved that. That was the 4-inch gun. Okay, and that was the other detection level 0 U-boat. So now that counter is at 0. There is no 0. I just move it off. There's one possibility that it could come back, but another U-boat could show up. But boy, we hope not. Okay, that was the U-boat phase. We go on now. There would be a Heinkel phase. There are Heinkel bombers that can appear. There are none on the board now, though, so we just skip that phase. And then we roll 2d6 for the end of turn events. I just roll these other different color dice just for fun. A 10 is the undamaged detection level 3 U-boat farthest from the Corvette becomes a DL2. There are no DL3, so that's a non-event. Back to the top, detection phase. So I'm going to roll my 4d6. Now this is a little better in a manner of speaking because I have these 2 U-boats here close to me. So DL1s are affected by results of 5. So the 6s won't matter anymore because there's no more detection level 0s. They become detection level 1s. But I need 5s to change them up to detection level 2s. This 1, 2, 3, and I do have line of sight, so I could detect that one as well. So I need 5s. Unfortunately, each 5 only applies to 1 U-boat. And I rolled 2 6s, of course. It doesn't help me at all. I don't know if I rolled a 5 and a 6, if I could change one of these to a detection level 2 and then immediately apply the 6 to it to change it to a detection level 3. Or no, that would be 6. It's a 4. So I don't know if I could change it from a DL1 to DL2 and then from a DL2 to DL3. Possibly. I'll have to look back in the rules. It doesn't seem like cheating to me. But anyways, didn't matter here. I didn't get any results that helped me. Merchant's phase. The merchant moves, however, it's damaged. So we need to roll a die. If the merchant is damaged, then on a 3, 4, 5, or sorry, on a 3 or higher, it will move. 4. So it does move. Do need it to keep moving. And now it's the Corvette phase. So I roll 3 dice. I'm going to give these yellow ones another shot. They didn't do me right last time, though. And I'm looking for high number. Add 1 because the captain's still alive. It's my number of movement points for this turn. Got a 5 at least, so that's 6 movement points for this turn. The first thing I need to do is get some depth charges on top of these guys. I need to be on a hex that is close to both of them because the range of my depth charges is only 1. So this guy's out of depth charge range right now. I can move over the top though because these are submerged. So I'll go 1 and turn. Move and turn is only 1 point in this game. 2 and turn, and that cost me 2 movement points. Now we'll spend 2 more movement points to drop the depth charges. Whoops. I have 2 points left. For depth charges, you roll 3d6 per U-boat. So I will roll, I'm going to go ahead and roll my yellow ones again. I don't know why. So I'll do for this guy first. Here's where I could use 2 different colors of dice though. I could say, well, this applies to the left U-boat, this applies to the right, and just roll all the dice at once. But if you haven't played the game, I don't want to confuse you. So I'm going to roll against this westernmost U-boat first. I need, against the DL1, I need 6s. And got nothing. Now I roll for the other U-boat. Same attack. I'm attacking both at the same time. For this U-boat, I need 6s because it's detection level 1 as well. Nothing. Okay. So, I'm going to have a decision to make here because right now I'm in line where I could get fired at by either one of them. Or, if I choose not to move, I have 2 more points. I could drop depth charges again on both of them. Again, I got to roll 6s though. The thing I'm thinking about moving is I can move and be on top of one of them, in which case he won't fire at me unless he moves first, which is a possibility. I think I'm going to go ahead and do depth charges again. So that's my last 2 points. Again, I get 3d6 for each. I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 dice, 2 sets of dice thing. So yellows for west, reds for east. Need 6s. Nothing. Cold, cold, cold. Okay. C'est la vie, c'est la guerre. Now the U-boat phase. Again, detection level 3 U-boats, then 2s, then 1s. They're all 1s. So we'll roll 3d6. We're going to do this westernmost U-boat first. I can do them in any order. Just have to stay within the same category and knock all of those out. So, DL1s first, 3d6. Range of an order. 1, 4, 4. This could be advantageous. 1 says if you find a ship that's in line, the Corvette, the nearest one, the Corvette, then move towards it unless you're already adjacent, in which case don't move. And 4s are the result that if damaged and not in the same hex, then surface. He's not damaged. Those don't matter. So that worked out well. This U-boat, same thing, 3d6. This is not as good. The 1 is move, except he's already adjacent and online, so that he doesn't move. And then the 5 and the 6 both are fire torpedoes. So for the first one, he's going to fire a D3 torpedoes. D3, if you can imagine a 3-sided die, I'm sure most of you who have played games before will know, you just take the 1 and the 2, that counts as 1. Divide it by half and round up, right? So how many torpedoes is this first salvo? Remember, there's another salvo over here waiting to go. 1, that's good. 2, which counts as 1, so 1 torpedo, that's good. For this first salvo at least. So for that torpedo, I need to roll on the to hit chart, which says, since he's firing from this side-on aspect, I present a bigger target, so it's a little easier to hit me. From range, 1 up to the range 3, he only needs a 4 or better. So we roll 1 die, 4 or more hits. Lower than that's a miss. Lower is a miss. The only positive thing about a hit there would be that because we get some idea of where he is, since we saw that we were hit by a torpedo, he would go up to detection level 2. Okay, this still could happen though on the second salvo. So again, D3, how many torpedoes did he fire? Another good roll, he just fired 1. So 1 torpedo, does it hit? This is again the same to hit, he needs 4 or better. And his 4 is a hit. So 1 hit on the U-boat. Because he hit, that changes him from a DL1 to a DL2. We get information about where he is because he hit us with a torpedo. And then we roll 2d6 for the hit on the U-boat. Okay, so we're going to roll 2d6 to see what the damage is of the Corvette. And it's a 7, which is 2 crew are killed. The crew basically help you do things. So for example, in the detection phase, I've been rolling 4 dice. That's because my sonar operator is still alive. If the sonar operator dies, then I only get to roll 3 dice. If your captain's not alive, you roll dice, but you don't get to add 1 to the result for the number of movement points and so on. And the crew, their numbers are here. So it's a 4 and a 5, which is the engineer and the 4-inch gunner. Not great, not great. Okay, that was the 1 hit on the Corvette. That takes care of this U-boat. Now I'm going to do this U-boat. 3d6, DL1. Obviously here the nearest ship is the merchant. So what's he going to do? 1, 3, 4. This could be good. So the 1 and the 3 again are move towards the nearest ship that's on one of the line of hexes. Well, there is 1 ship, but it also says that if you're already adjacent, then don't move. So that's all that die does. So both of these essentially mean nothing. And then the 4 is if he's damaged, he'll surface. He's not. So we got lucky there. Maybe they're trying to maneuver in for a good shot. Trying to do something to the U-boat and didn't take shots at this time. Worked out for us. That's the end of the U-boat phase. I've activated all 3. Now it's the Heinkel phase. There are no Heinkels on the board. That's good. Don't want those. And then the next is the end of move or end of turn events. It's a 6, which is no event. It's the only roll that is a nothing all the time. Okay, we go back to the top to the detection phase. I do get to roll my 4d6 here. And maybe I can bring these guys up a level. I'm out of range of this U-boat, so I can't improve it. I'm really only worried about these. For detection level 1, again, I need 5s. For detection level 2, I need 4s. And this is not 4 or better, it is a 4. And of course, I get 6s, but no 4s or 5s. Don't need 6. Okay, that's that. Merchant phase, again, the merchant is slightly damaged. So if it's a 4 or higher, he's going to move. If not, then he's having engine problems and can't move this turn. It's a 1, so he doesn't move. That's not great because he's going to stay right on line with that U-boat. The Corvette phase, I'm not rolling those yellow dice this time. I'm going to roll these red ones. 3d6 because my engine is undamaged. I will add 1 to the highest result because my captain is still alive. 4. So I get 5 movement points. I think we know what I'm going to do, and that's pretty much drop depth charges. I've got to sink one of these guys and get over and help the merchant ship, especially if he can't move. So 2 points to fire, or to drop depth charges again. I'm going to roll 3d6 for the DL1 and 3d6 for the DL2. So yellow is for the 2. I should hold them like this. I need 6s for the 1, and for the DL2 I need 5s or 6s. And yellows are for the DL1, I said, and that was great because there's 2 6s, that sinks it. Okay, and then for the DL2, I need 5s or 6s. Well, I did get a 6, so that damages it. So the way I made my counters is I have the damage side on the back, so I flip that over. And now that's the end of that attack. The question here is, do I want to do it again and try to sink this guy? I think so. You got to take shots while you got them. So I'm going to roll 3d6. I don't get to roll 2 sets because there's only 1 U-boat to hit. 3d6. Hopefully I need 5s or 6s here, and this would sink it. And I got a 6. Got a 2, 4, 6. So that sinks that one. Okay, better rolls. And now I have 1 movement point left. I will move here and turn. That's it. U-boat phase. There's only 1 U-boat to activate, and it's that DL1. So he's undamaged. We roll 3d6. 1, 4, 4. Another tremendous roll for us. 1, again, is move unless you're already adjacent to a ship, and he is. And then the 4s are if damaged surface. He's not damaged. So those all become non-events. Very lucky. There are no DL0s on, so that's fine. Heinkels, there are no Heinkels. End of turn event. Is a 3, there's a Heinkel. Anything 4, 2 or 4, 2, 3 or 4, sorry. The Heinkels come on along the line of hexes that is the farthest away from the Corvette. So obviously it won't be this way or this way or this way. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So it's going to be either here or here. I'm going to call this one odd and this one even. Odd, so it comes straight from the north. So you put it on the line of hexes with the Corvette, and they'll start moving on the next turn. Fortunately, my AA guns are still around, but my gunner is dead, so I'll get 1 less die per attack. That was the end of turn events. Go back to the top. The detection phase is kind of irrelevant here because there are no DL0 U-boats, and the only U-boat on the map, I'm out of range of it. You have to be within 3 hexes from the Corvette. So I'm going to skip that. Merchant phase, again, the merchant will move on a 4 or better, on a 3 or better, since he's only been damaged once, and he will move. That's good. That gets him off the line there. U-boat phase, Corvette phase. Roll 3 dice since my engines are still intact. Add 1 because the captain's still around. Not great. 4, add 1 becomes 5. Pretty much all this is going to be is movement. I need to get off this line, kind of. So 1, turn, 2, 3, 4. That would leave me 1 point. I'm at 4 now because I've used 1 of my movement. Yeah, smoke won't help us. We can only be adjacent to the Corvette. And I need 3 points to do it, and it has to be your last action. So the last 3 points. All right, well, I'm just going to go move 2. Whoops, wait. Move 1 and turn, 2 and turn, 3 and turn. So it leaves me with 1 point, which I'm not going to do anything with. Really nothing I can do. Okay, my goal here is not to be on line with this U-boat, not to be on one of the lines of hexes. I'm going to make him move to get into position. That'll, at worst, cost him 1 of his dice. The Heinkel's going to be a factor. not too many more moves. That was the Corvette phase. U-boat phase. U-boat gets 3 dice. He's undamaged. Detection level 1. 1, 3, 4. This, it's okay. He doesn't get to fire, which would be a 5 or a 6. So the 1 is move to the nearest ship that you're on the line of hexes with. He's not on the line of hexes with anything. So we roll and move in this one of these directions here. So 5 puts him right in the middle of us. That's great. 3 is move unless you're already adjacent, which he is, doesn't. And then 4 is a surface if you're damaged. He's not. So the lucky part there was that he didn't get a 5 or a 6. The unlucky part was that he rolled a 5 on his movement, which put him, like I said, right in between the merchant. Look on the bright side. He's closer to me now. I can hit him with depth charges, maybe. That's all the U-boats. So now the Heinkel phase. For the Heinkel, you roll a die, again, D3, and he's going to move that number of hexes straight down the way he's pointing. 3, because that's a 6. So 1, 2, 3. And then he turns towards the Corvette, 1 hex face. Just happens now that he's actually facing the Corvette. If the Corvette was down here, he still would have turned that way. We have to be careful because the Heinkel will fire and hit all ships range 0 to 1, which means if he moves, I guess if he moves 3 next turn again, then he would be out of the range of the merchant, but that puts it on top of me. So we're going to figure something out here. That's the Heinkel phase. Next is the end of turn events. A 9. Any DL3 U-boats, you lose some information, they become DL2s. There are no DL3s on the map, so nothing. Detection phase. This could be good here. We want to roll 4d6. I'm going to go ahead and roll 2 of the yellows, I guess, and 2 greens. Because it's a DL1, I'm looking for 5s. That would move it up to a DL2. So 5s. Got 1 at least, 5. So that changes this to a DL2. More information is better. I'm hot with those 6s when I don't need them. Okay. Merchant phase. Merchant's possibly going to move. So again, he's got 1 hit point of damage. So we need to oh, it's a 2 or better. Maybe I've been doing that wrong. It's a 3, so he's going to move. I think I would want him to move, so maybe I didn't play that wrong. For some reason, I think I was thinking it was a 3 or more. Anyways, he moved now. Now the Corvette has to do something here. So we're going to roll 3 dice for the Corvette. Haven't learned my lesson. Actually, I have learned my lesson. I'm going to roll these green dice. Maybe they're hot. I need a big number. That's, okay. Got a 6. It could only be 1, possibly better. I got a 5, but I make it a 6 because my captain's still alive. I add a point. So I get 6 movement points. I think my goal here is going to be to move and take a crack. I need to get that Heinkel down because otherwise he could fire on the merchant ship. Firing the AA guns only costs 2 points. I'm tempted to go past. I got to get within range 0 to 2 of the Heinkel. So I need to be no further away than here or here. If I'm here, I can do depth charges and fire, but that's a lot of points. I almost am thinking I would rather be, I'd rather take the Heinkel out because if he gets there, he's gonna hit. He's only gonna do 1 hit. Whereas the U-boat could do a bunch. Okay. I can go over the U-boat because he's submerged. So 1 turn, 2. I'm going to stay presenting that low aspect to the U-boat. So that's 2 points that I moved. I'm going to drop depth charges with 2 more points. Again, I think he's the bigger threat because he can do more than just 1 hit. So I roll 3d6 for my depth charges against this detection level 2 U-boat. For detection level 2, I need 5 or 6. Oops, too bad that didn't go in. I need 5s or better. Yes! 3 hits. Took him out. These dice are screen dice, I'm telling you, they're hot. Okay. Now with my remaining 2 points, I'm going to try to fire at the Heinkel. I've got all the U-boats off the map. The Heinkel could do some damage, but hopefully I can take it out. So with the remaining 2 points, I'm going to fire the AA guns. He's in range 0 to 2. I get 2d6 per undamaged AA gun. So I get 4d6, and then if your gunner is killed, you remove 1 die. Not 1 for each gun, but 1 die total. The AA gunner's still around though, so I get all 4 dice. I just need a 6. 6 is the only thing that can get. Maybe you say, "Oh, you wouldn't shoot down a Heinkel that quickly." Okay, I scare it off. Whatever. And I did. I got a 6. Scared it off. Now the merchant ship just has to make it off the map. I have to do that. So that's the end of the Corvette phase. There are no U-boats. Skip that phase. There are no Heinkels. Skip that phase. End of turn events. It's a 6. No event. We like it. There is an event that will bring a DL0 back, reinforce the U-boats and add another U-boat. That's the only thing we're really hoping doesn't happen. Okay, back to the top. Detection phase, there are no U-boats on the map, so skip it. Merchant phase, this is the big one. I need a 2 or more since he has 1 point. He's had a point of damage. So he has 2 hit points left. 2 plus moves him. And a 1, of course. So I'm telling you, the yellow dice are going back in the box for a while. They get a timeout. That's the end of the Corvette, or sorry, the end of the merchant phase. The Corvette phase now, I roll 3 dice, add a point because my captain's still alive to the highest roll. So 5, add 1, that becomes a 6. Really, the question here is, what's the best strategy since there's no U-boats? I haven't played enough to really figure out what this might be, but I think I want to get away from the merchant, but not too far. So 1, turn, 2, turn. And then with 4 points, I can repair because, nope, my engineer's dead. So if the engineer is killed, it takes 2 extra points, which would be 6. I don't have that. So I'm just going to keep moving. 3 turns, so it takes me down to 3 because I had 6 to start. And 1 more and turn. So not on the same line, so if something spawns around me, hopefully it won't be a 4 or 5, which might put it on the line of the merchant. I can still race down this way, hopefully, if something happens. I'm going to call that the end of the Corvette phase. No U-boats, no Heinkels, end of turn events. Oh, 4. There's a Heinkel. It's got to be this way. That's the longest line. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's what I was hoping I wouldn't see, but at least he'll come towards the Corvette and not the merchant. That's that. Detection phase, back to the top here. Irrelevant. Merchant ship, definitely need the merchant ship to move. So 2 or better. 4, good. Corvette phase, 3 dice. 4, add 1, that becomes a 5. All the odds are on the same side of the die. Okay. So, the most he could move, possibly on his turn, is 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, turn, 3, turn, 4, 5. There are no U-boats. That was the end of the Corvette phase. There are no U-boats for the U-boat phase, the Heinkel phase. D3 for movement. He moves 3. 1, 2, 3. Then he turns 1 towards the Corvette, and he will now hit because it's range 0 to 1 and in line of sight. And it's 1 hit. So I roll 2d6. Where are those? No, doesn't matter for the Corvette. There's stuff all over the board here. Just not a 2. 6. Engine damage. It's fine, I guess. I mean, it's going to be something. It's the end of the Heinkel phase. End of turn events. We just don't need another Heinkel. 5. Favorable sea conditions. You may repeat the merchant phase. Yes, I certainly think I will. I would like the merchant to move and get off the board. So I get to roll for the damaged merchant. He's got 2 hit points, so it's 2 or better. He does move. That's good. That's the end of turn events. Go back to the top. Detection phase is irrelevant. Merchant phase, again, we want to roll 2 or better. It is. Keep on trucking. Corvette phase, 3d6. Nope. Engine damage, 2d6. 2d6. Highest number, captain's still alive, add 1. So 4, that becomes a 5. I have 5 movement points. Okay, well, first thing we're going to do is fire those AA guns. So my AA guns are both in play, so I get 4d6. And I don't have to remove any because the gunner is still alive. So again, I just need a 6 to get rid of this Heinkel. Did not. But I have more points. I'm going to do it again. And what else am I going to do? Just need a 6. Got it. Get him out of here. And I'll move my 1 for the last movement point. There are no U-boats. There are no Heinkels. End of turn. There's a 4. Hey, guess what? Another Heinkel. Maybe we'll get out of here before he gets down here. That's the end of turn. Back to the top. Detection phase irrelevant. Merchant phase. 2 or better. Yes. One more time. It's going to happen, hopefully. Corvette phase. I get 2 dice because I have engine damage. 4, add 1 because the captain's still alive. That becomes a 5 again. So 1, turn, 2, turn, 3, 4, 5, turn. So my idea here is to get away. I don't have to shoot the Heinkel down. The merchant just has to get off, and I want the Heinkel as far away from the merchant as possible. He's going to come to me. So I'm just going to get out of the way. Hopefully next turn, before he gets here, the merchant will get out of here. That's the end of the Corvette phase. No U-boats. Heinkel phase. D3 for how many movement is he going to do? 3. 1, 2, 3. And then he turns towards the Corvette. So again, it's hex facings. So I was to his left, so he turns 1 hex facing to the left. Not some number of degrees to face me directly, but just 1 hex facing. Again, Lambo simplicity, we like it. That's the Heinkel phase. End of turn is an 8. That's a U-boat. Escapes detection, doesn't count. Back to the detection phase, doesn't matter. The merchant phase, again, if this is a 2 or better, then we win. And it's a 1, of course it is. Corvette phase. I get, oops, I only get 2d6. So I rolled a 5. I probably should stick with that, but anyways, let's just say I get 5. That's enough. 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turn, and I'm going to stop there. That's the Heinkel phase. D3, 1, 2, 3, and turn towards the Corvette. Into turn events. Is a 10. U-boat escapes detection, doesn't count. Detection phase, irrelevant. Merchant phase, 2 or better. Yay! Merchant gets off the map, and we won. I've played this scenario a couple of times. There have been a couple of times where the merchant has taken massive amount of hits because I didn't play it, didn't strategize very well, and it gets sunk, which loses. But you know, sometimes you just have bad dice luck. I had some pretty bad dice rolls there, I thought, but had some good ones, so it all comes out. Great game, really like it. Fits perfectly in the Lambo line, if you will. Simple. That doesn't mean you know, not interesting. It means simple as in not overly complicated. Straightforward, direct. Once you play a couple times, you'll figure it out. It'll be easy. Hope you've enjoyed it.